The Boston Bruins lose 3-2 in overtime to a very good Edmonton Oilers team and go 2-2-1 on the West Coast trip. Lindholm might have turned the corner and is the player the Bruins thought they signed. Line changes cost them the game, but maybe the first goal against set the tone. Wahlstrom makes his Bruins debut and the Bruins cut ties with Tyler Johnson. As always, I'm going to go over the highs and the lows of the Boston Bruins 3-2 overtime loss to the Edmonton Oilers. So buckle up, Bruins fans. I'm here to give you the latest info on your beloved Boston Bruins. If you've been liking my Bruins content, please leave me a like and subscribe. If you've already done so, thank you, and let's get into it. I will get into the game, but yesterday's roster transactions before the game raised some eyebrows. I would do an eyebrow raise, but I'm not as talented, so here's a picture of the Rock instead. The Tyler Johnson experiment is over, as the Boston Bruins announced yesterday they had placed him on waivers for the purpose of buying out his contract. That's not a really nice Christmas present. The press release reads, Boston Bruins general manager Don Sweeney announced today, December 19th, that the team has placed forward Tyler Johnson on unconditional waivers. Johnson, 34, was signed by the Bruins to a one-year contract on November 4th, 2024. The 5'8", 185-pound forward appeared in 9 games with the Bruins during the 24-25 season, recording 2 assists. The Spokane, Washington native has skated in 738 career NHL games, with Boston, Chicago, and Tampa tallying 193 goals and 240 assists for 433 points. Unfortunately, Johnson couldn't recreate his play that we saw during the preseason. Lots of us thought, including myself, that he would help them with the power play, but it didn't work out. In 9 games with the Bruins, he only got 2 assists and only averaged about 13 minutes a night. When Joe Sacco took over as the Bruins coach, Johnson had a short leash and fell out of favor with his new head coach. He started to scratch him more than he played him under Sacco, so when the Bruins claimed Wahlstrom, the writing was on the wall that Johnson's time with the Bruins, it was over. Unknown if another team will give him a chance to make the roster, but he's had a 13-year NHL career, and he's won a Stanley Cup, which is not too shabby. Now, let's get on to the game. While I commend the Bruins on a well-earned point, I still saw some things that have been consistently happening this season that need to nip in the butt. We get to see the debut of Oliver Wahlstrom, who played okay, but I'm not judging him on his first game, as he's learning a new system, and he was pretty much playing with training wheels on. He showed he had some speed, but I felt he lacked confidence when trying to carry the puck into the zone. And it could have a lot to do with his previous team and the way he played there. He was on the third line with Coyle and Frederick, but he only got 8 minutes and 51 seconds of ice time. At first, when I saw the ice time, I thought, wow, Sacco already doesn't trust him. But then I noticed Kastelik had only 8 minutes and 48 seconds, and it was probably Sacco shortening the bench during the second because the Bruins kind of let the Oilers back in the game. Wahlstrom ended the game with 2 shots and 1 hit, but again, I don't think we got enough time on the ice to really form an opinion about his play. I'm sure after the holiday break, we'll get to see more of him. If you saw anything you thought was impressive or not impressive about the Wahlstrom debut, let me know in the comments. The Bruins look ready to play from the puck drop, and their forecheck was smothering the Oilers. The Edmonton Oilers arguably have the 2 best players in the world on their team in Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, and the Bruins defense gave them no room to set up or gain space on zone entries. The forward group and the defense did a great job of clogging up the neutral zone and not allowing Edmonton forwards to stretch out the Bruins defense. To me, it was one of the most sound position periods of hockey the Bruins had played all season. If I'm Sacco, I'm showing the tape to the guys the next time they sit down to analyze the game of what they should be doing more often, and the fact it was against the Oilers is gravy on top. During the whole Western road trip, they had played some okay games, but by far, this is the biggest test they faced the whole trip. And it was at the end of the trip when players could have easily used the excuse they can already see their flight home to their loved ones before the puck even drops. We didn't get that type of effort from the Bruins last night at all. Elias Lindholm was able to get the Bruins on the board with the first shot on goal in the game, with an ugly goal on Skinner. We talk about wanting to have one back, but man, this goal was ugly. Lindholm takes a nothing shot on net from almost beside the net, and the puck has eyes, and it's 1-0. This is the type of goal that all season has deflated the Bruins and set the tone when their goalie gives it up. But the Oilers, they're built different. The announcers kept commenting on how Lindholm is an Oilers killer. In 25 games over his career against the Edmonton Oilers, he has 22 goals and 15 assists, and he's plus 15. Last night, he added that total with a goal, but he was also 80% at the faceoff dot. And if Marchand would have put one of those shots away, the Bruins would have won the hockey game. Lindholm played by far his best game of the year last night, and my hope is he can build from last night's game into the next one after the break. Before the end of the first period, Mark Kastelik decides to do it all by himself and hustles himself all the way down the ice, blasting one past the last Oilers defender, and drives to the net. He is able to make a nifty move on Skinner, and it's 2-0 Boston. Kaslik scores the type of goals this team needs to do more often. Use their speed and strength to muscle their way to the net and put one home. Far too often they're taking shots from the outside and no one goes to the net. Even though Allmark is playing out of his mind right now in Ottawa, I'm still loving the addition of Kastelic from Ottawa, also knowing Allmark was never coming back this year, no matter what. I know this is going to light up my comment section, but Allmark is 7-0-0 in his last 7 starts with a .967 save percentage and a .99 goals against average with 2 shutouts and 1 assist. 100% playing unreal right now. But the fact of the matter is the Bruins front office made a decision last year to move on from him. Whether that was the wrong decision or not, it was made by the front office. The return they got has been good. But the fact of the matter is Allmark has been better than both of the Bruins goalies this season. As of right now, when you trade the best player in the deal, you lose no matter what. Anyways, enough with feeling sad about ourselves. The Bruins played their best period of hockey and had a 2-0 lead heading into the second. The second period is where the Bruins started to leak coverage a bit and get caught again by letting McDavid control the play. It was only a matter of time that the best player in the world would start to make adjustments to the Bruins' defense and find weak spots. The sad part is he started to zone in on Nikita Zadorov and use his speed to cause him to make mistakes and finally get him to take his favorite thing to do in a game, which is a penalty. McDavid, in fact, directly caused both of the Bruins' penalties. The Oilers failed to score on the power play, and the Bruins looked to gain some momentum, and McDavid gets a penalty of his own. On that power play, the Bruins didn't look good, and I felt this was the moment of the game they could have walked away with it. The puck movement was terrible, and on this power play, David Pastrnak gets a pass alone in front of the net, and he has room short side and shoots it over the net. If Pastrnak scores here and McDavid in the box, the game is over, and the Bruins walk away with this one. Instead, after killing the penalty, the Oilers come to life and start to apply pressure on the Bruins. Suddenly, the Bruins' forecheck isn't working, they're having issues clogging up the neutral zone, and the Oilers are able to spread them out. It doesn't last long, and the Bruins tighten up a bit. But then, it happens. Up until this point, Swayman has been making some great saves and keeping them in the game. But Zach Hyman puts a very routine shot on net, and Swayman doesn't get his pad down, and it's 2-1. 100%, Swayman should have had this one, and truly no excuse. But the team in front of him shouldn't let it get to them. But you could see it on their face that it did. It's almost like they missed the voices of Bergeron, Krejci, and Chara that could talk some sense into them and make them realize they still have the lead, and they should fight back. Bad goals like this seem to deflate them all year, and the Oilers are one of the best teams in the league and push even harder after this one. Lots of hockey left, and the Bruins do quickly get back to their game and apply pressure to the Oilers, and Swayman even makes a huge save on Draisaitl, but the period ends and it's 2-1 Boston. The third period starts and we have a hockey game. Both teams are trading chances, and both goalies are coming up with some big stops. It's funny, when you look at the game, both goalies let in terrible first goals, but both goalies had some huge saves. It's a fun game to watch, but a weird hockey game at that. The Bruins did a great job of holding the two-headed monster that is McDavid and Draisaitl at bay, but we all knew that wouldn't last long. When either one of these players get on the score sheet, most teams are happy it doesn't happen more often during the game. Last year I went to Vegas and got to see the Knights play the Oilers, and I was blown away how good McDavid is. And man, he was good in this game too. You could almost sense something was coming. But I want to hand it to the Bruins defenders. They did a great job slowing him down all game. As with most games this year, the last 5 minutes is where the Bruins sit back a bit and try what I feel too hard to play defense instead of sticking to their game. I have spoke often this year about bad line changes, and this is something the Bruins have been doing all season and last. Last year, it cost them too many men on the ice penalties in what feels like every other game. This year, it's been costing them goals on a consistent basis. McDavid and Hyman are skating up the ice with possession, and Charlie McAvoy and the whole forward group decide this is the right time to make a line change, making it a 2-on-1 with Nikita Zadorov. Poor Lowry has to skate as fast as he can to help out Zadorov, but it's too late. Swayman does make the first save, still should have had his pad down, but McDavid being McDavid follows the shot to the net and gets his stick on the puck again and shoves it between Swayman's legs. I watched the goal this morning because I fell asleep last night during the game, and right away I thought, damn, he could have closed up a little bit tighter, but I also thought, it's Connor McDavid, so I gotta give him the benefit of the doubt. The goal doesn't go in until McDavid goes for a second chance, but that second chance was possible because of the terrible line change. McAvoy, I get it, you're tired, but what are you thinking going off for a line change when Connor McDavid has possession about to enter your zone? Also, what is Zadorov doing behind the net after the first shot and watching McDavid go for a second chance? I don't think he can help his teammate clear the crease from behind the net. It's bonehead decisions like this that cost him the game. The score is 2-2, and you know the game is now destined for overtime. But McAvoy and the forward group can rest easy because some Bruin fans are going to blame this one on the goaltending, and it just is what it is. I've said this before, Swayman kind of brought it on himself this year, so I can't blame the fan base for getting mad at him for every little mistake he makes. Overtime doesn't last long as David Pastrnak decides to make a line change of his own when McDavid and Nugent-Hopkins have possession about to enter the zone. This causes a 2-on-1 with McDavid and Nuge, and Lowry needs to now decide to play the pass or hope for the save, or force McDavid to the outside, hoping he can't get the pass over to Hopkins. We all know if he plays McDavid, the pass gets to Hopkins, and we get the same outcome. I feel bad for Lowry because this is 2 times tonight a bad line change costs him a goal against on the stat sheet. Swayman makes the first save, which is his job, but the Bruins players decide to exit the zone after the shot, and Ekholm is left alone in the slot to put the rebound past Swayman. The Bruins played a great game, but kind of pissed this one away. So many great things to build off from this game, but 2 stupid line changes cost them 2 points here. Even after the game, the local media thought the Bruins and Swayman played well, and I like what Sacco's answer was.
Was this Jeremy's best game of the year?
I don't know if it was his best game. Certainly kept us in there, but I thought we did a good job in front of him too, for the most part.
He doesn't say he played a great game, like the reporter suggests, because you can't say that because the first goal was just terrible. But he also doesn't put the blame on him either. Sacco isn't afraid to speak his mind, and I appreciate that as a coach. My take from the overall of the game is simple. Swayman needs to make that save on the first goal, and the team needs to rise above crap like that. Edmonton doesn't get down on themselves, but the Bruins did for a bit. I'm puzzled at this point why they haven't let Korpisalo get his redemption game after his stinker, and I thought he should have started at least against Calgary. I'm also getting extremely tired that all we talk about is goaltending, but Swayman did bring that on himself, and he needs to be better. My hope is he gets his confidence back from Santa this Christmas. The Bruins beat themselves last night, and not the Oilers beating them. But you can't give the best player in the world any opportunities because he doesn't miss. Hopefully Wahlstrom can provide secondary scoring in the future, but this is a lot to ask of him because he truly hasn't done that in his career. The Bruins need to close teams out. And that starts with their power play. If they can't get that going after Christmas, they might be on the outside looking in. Can't be mad at getting a point out of Edmonton, but when you give away the game in the third, it stings. They're now 4th in the Atlantic, tied with Tampa Bay, but have played more games than them, but are 6-3-1 in their last 10 games. So there's a lot of things to be happy about. The Providence Bruins are playing out of their mind right now as well, so hopefully we see Merkulov or Poitras in the Bruins lineup after the holiday break. I'll be doing a video on those two over the holiday, so watch out for that. Hoping to get a lot more content out over the break, but I also want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holiday. That's a wrap on today's video. To stay up to date on all news surrounding the Boston Bruins, please subscribe and drop me a like. If news breaks surrounding the Boston Bruins, be sure to check out the channel. If you've already subscribed to the channel, thank you, and I'll see you next time.